Thank you again for being with us for our audience. I have a really special guest today, Iesha Berry. Iesha Berry is a phenomenal professional. I've met her in person, have been in numerous conversations with her. Give our listeners a quick overview about who Iesha is and what's her passion, what are some of the passion projects she works at Docusign. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it is a pleasure to join you. I am, just by way of quick update, I serve as the Chief Talent and Diversity Officer for Docusign, and I'm getting very close to my 3-year anniversary with the firm. And since being with the organization, my role has evolved over the years, which has been a great, frankly, learning opportunity. It's kept me in my learning zone. When you think about growth mindset, of learning new functions, new areas, or strengthening muscles in areas that I may have worked in other organizations. So the role that I have today is a great culmination of the 25 plus years of professional expertise that I've had across multiple industries since going into the work setting. And when I think about, to your question around what am I passionate about by way of the work that I do at DocuSign, I'd like to be able to respond to that in two ways. What am I passionate about personally as a human being, and then translate that into what I do professionally. So what I am passionate about, and it is frankly connected to the work that I do and my personal values that I hold. I'm passionate about being able to curate and model experiences and environments that drive equity, for equity and fairness, for broad and diverse audiences, diverse from not just the visible sense, but also from those non-visible senses of identity. Having spent my life growing up in Chicago, Illinois, I had the beauty and the experience, and I think it was equally a blessing of being a part of such a rich and culturally fulfilling city that has so much culture to offer and so many opportunities to take hold of, but equally opportunities for improvement. And a lot of that showed forth or shined forth in when you looked at the socioeconomic experience of different communities. And so I'm passionate about being able to elevate and curate experiences that allow people to do what it is that they're passionate about, and doing so in a place that is supportive of everything that they bring, all the individual uniquenesses and identities that they bring into the workplace, and doing so in a place that shepherds and stewards the talent well. And so that's kind of bringing in the personal and the professional piece, which also makes it exciting about the work that I do. I really do feel like I am doing meaningful work, and work that is very much connected to what it is that I value personally.
Yeah, isn't it interesting that your traditional job titles are not the same anymore? I think people do so much more than what each role was traditionally involved in. There's so many more nuances to it. But to go back to your response, Aisha, I think one of the shared passions here are we are both able to do what we are really passionate about, what we care about. And in your case, in DocuSign, you're able to do it at scale, right? It's a large organization. You're able to impact lives of people materially in your role. So I think that's a opportunity, but also I'm sure comes with a lot of challenges. Um, tell us a little bit about your early talent process. What's your philosophy around cultivating early talent, especially around tech, but just in a more broader sense at DocuSign?
Yeah, so our organization has absolutely been on a journey as we think about talent and the varying levels of talent within our organization. When I also think about oftentimes how that can also translate into generations at work as well. And so while early in career, talent is part and parcel of our overall focus on talent. It can manifest itself in many different ways as our organization has evolved, and that is true equally for Docusign. And so, our focus in the past, and what I would say, actually, let me fast forward that into what it is today. And so, our early in career focus and how we think about it is from a perspective of curating experiences and meaningful work experiences from summer intern, year-round intern, and then conversion, if you will, into that early in career technical ladder within our organization. So being very specific from that perspective. But our early in career, I should say, and our early in career approach not only focuses on technical talent, it is also looking at our go-to-market and what I would call enterprise related careers as well from a early in career perspective. So individuals from a legal perspective coming in and being able to do summer internships with us, as well as our go to market and sales organization, whether that be from looking at our solutions consulting area by way of really cultivating that talent early and creating that unique hook with that talent by giving them meaningful experiences and staying in touch with that talent when they return back to university or their graduate program, such that we're ultimately able to convert that talent into full-time hires. Our early in career program equally connects with and focuses on critical partnerships with organizations that help us to identify technical talent with a double click on diverse pipelines of talent and non-traditional pipelines of talent. And non-traditional pipelines of talent can entail all things from a perspective of leveraging certifications as a way to bring talent into the organization and or partnering with organizations like Carrot or Brilliant Black Minds, where we're able to cultivate and go to key talent segments of technical talent and create opportunities for that talent early in career technical talent to come in and have some meaningful opportunities that are growing technical pipeline at the early in career phase and moving them through the pipeline up to and including that professional phase to mid management and then ultimately on up to leadership.
Right, right. So it's not just your traditional college hiring. It seems like you have other pipelines that you built with maybe grassroots organizations and maybe diversity organizations that help you channel this type of what we call a wider net, cast a wider net, a more diverse sort of pool of talent. One of the things at Quintrix we've learned over the years is getting buy-in rather getting buy-in from let's say the line managers, whether it's IT line managers or non-IT line managers, all the way through IT leadership is really important when you're starting to sort of create those cohorts or develop talent, right? You want everyone to be involved in this process. It's in my opinion, a true partnership. I think the candidates can't reach their full potential until all the managers are fully involved and vice versa, right? Like the managers are not going to get what they need from this talent unless they are invested in cultivating this talent. Is that or has that been a challenge for your organization? How do you address that? Managers are really busy, right? How do you get their attention to make sure that, hey, this is a long game that we're playing, right? We need your attention, we need your time, we need your investment to make sure that this is a successful partnership.
Yeah, if I'm understanding the question correctly, is this about getting managers time in the cultivation and participation in early career talent and understanding the value in investing in
Right.
that talent?
Exactly. Is that even a challenge? Yeah, is that even a challenge for you or not?
So here is the thing. It is not a challenge for us. However, there is always an opportunity for us to make improvements in that process. And the way that we have gone about it, we actually do have the benefit of having leaders across our organization that are very committed to early and career talent, so much so that they are reaching out and in our various internal social channels saying, hey, when are we going to launch summer internships? And when are we still doing summer internships? So that there is very much a desire to lean in, as an example, into that early in career population, and it shows up in varying ways. Having said that, what has always been helpful and what we have found to be helpful in rallying the support of our managers is making it a easy, user-friendly process, one that is not cumbersome, that does not take 20 clicks to get to the interview or 20 clicks to get to the decision, for lack of a better example, but is one that is scalable, and it is a partnered approach whereby we have put ourselves in the seat of the manager and said, how do we make this easy? And we make it easy by leading with the data. So what is our internal data telling us as it relates to opportunities? What is our hiring plan? Also highlighting where we're going to invest our talent, and what is the opportunity that we can step into and lean into relative to fueling that opportunity gap with and through leverage of early in career. And sometimes that's not by saying we're going to have 50 hires aligned to early in career in our technical track. It starts with, we're going to pilot this approach with this particular function within our technical track, and then replicate at scale based on the success. And so that's how we've been able to galvanize managers, take the big idea of we want to invest in early in career, lead with the data, allow the data to drive us towards the areas that we can begin to focus in on to create the necessary needed change, pilot the success of that, and then replicate it at scale. And we saw this with the investment in our engineering space to bring in 10 hires that reflected diversity across the software engineering space, and they all just joined at the end of July.
That's fantastic. It is a little bit of a trust building exercise, right? You want to do it the right way. You want to be in the shoes of the hiring manager, the hiring team, to make sure that it is a as seamless an experience as possible for them. As far as the decision-making process is concerned, Iesha, how do you look at or identify areas where, hey, I think there's an opportunity here for us to work with this team in bringing in some diverse early talent? Just walk us through your thought process. Is this more programmatic, like every year you have, based on your budgetary allocations or your growth projections, you find pockets, or is it more just leadership meetings where you gather intel on what areas have potential for growth and perhaps look at it from that angle? What does that decision-making process look like when you're looking to bring in early career talent?
It's actually both. It's not one or the other, it's both. And I say that it's both because business evolves and transforms and changes. And with that, it may be us kind of deciding in that year, if you will, based on what we know are our growth plans, that we're leaning solely. We know we're going to grow in this area, and that growth looks like growth at these levels. Or it may be based on an ongoing relationship. Here's how we're going to partner with this particular organization in a multi-year, multimodality fashion.
Makes sense. Makes sense. DocuSign's always, I feel like, is in the cutting edge. Just looking at the trajectory of the company, where it started, and it does so much more than just agreements and signatures, right? It's come a long way. Can you talk to us about what skills do you see are the skills of the future? I'm not talking about 10 years from now, right? I'm talking about the next like maybe 2 to 5 years. Where do you see the skill demand, skill growth needs?
Yeah, I think let me talk about it from what I'm hearing just across the tech industry. The number one, I'm just gonna pivot on the number one, is AI, deep technical knowledge, and a huge, a specific grasp on AI.
Mhm.
And the agility that will be needed to keep up with the changing frame of AI and that technical skill set. I think the other skill set that's going to be mission critical, and this is more less from a technical perspective, so deep technical expertise from an AI and machine learning perspective. I think that is going to be kind of the focus, and it has been the focus. I think the other area around just professional and rounding professionals out is collaboration. You know, it's one thing to be a deep subject matter expert in your area of technical expertise. It's another thing to be able to lift yourself up and help others that are dependent or will ultimately have to sell your technology, build your technology, innovate on your technology, price your technology, to understand what and how it works. So it's going to require this set of, I think, collaborative skills that often are not invested in holistically. That's not a Docusign statement. That's what I see, frankly, across industry, because we've been so focused on how do we innovate first to market, best to market. But that lifting up and managing cross collaborative relationships and even working in matrix is going to be a muscle that has to be developed.
I like that because I think that's in the past been a little underrepresented, the value of collaborating, especially because IT is such a team sport. You can't have just one super engineer or superpower engineer that can transform the team. You can up to an extent, but ultimately it is a team sport, right? You need people that are not just intelligent, smart, can deliver, but you also need people who can work well with other people to then, create magic, right? I think that's the point that you were also trying to drive home. And that's something that we take very seriously in our programs, right? A big part of what we do is let's work towards that capstone project towards our end of our cohort, right? Because that truly shows, all right, who are the leaders in the program? Who are the true contributors behind the scene? How did each one work through various conflicts, like conflict resolution, things like that? All of those play a huge role, especially in early career talent, where individuals who just finished their academic journey and now stepping into the real world. I think that's a huge part of their learning experience.
Agreed.
Uh,
Absolutely.
what does your training program look like, right? Once you bring on early talent, is there a formal training? Is there a rotational program? Do you have an internal L&D where they have a combination of classroom and real world? What does that look like at DocuSign?
Yeah, so it takes on multiple forms. We do have rotational programs as it relates to bringing on early in career talent. And that is more so as I think about some of our other expense related functions. So, you know, just thinking about from our other orgs outside of tech. We did have on the table a proposal to do a similar program in tech, and that's something that we will be revisiting by way of rotation as a means to do the training and development. But then there is a formal learning process and development process whereby that early in career talent is experienced. That's both on the go-to-market side of the house and the technical side of the house, where they are going through kind of like university experience. You take this learning solution first, then this learning solution, and you're gathering this type of expertise in said product area or said technical solution or said selling motion, as an example.
Got it. Got it. So we talked about collaboration being a key personality trait or skill set. What other key characteristics do you look for in early talent? Anything that stands out, especially from the DocuSign culture?
Yeah, I think from our perspective is for early in career talent is being able to take the complex and make it simple. So simplification and simplicity is one of our DocuSign values.
Hmm.
Equally, it is also about being able to be a learner. So, being able to digest a great deal of information, learn and then act, learn or then execute, I should say. And so that is another area of focus or skill set. So that learning agility is a mission critical skill. And then the final area that I would point to is just agility overall, being nimble and being able to be fluid, if you will, with regard to your experience and knowing that we're in an environment that's fairly dynamic. And to the extent that we can ensure, or if you will, insulate our early and career talent from the dynamics and the impact of change, there still has to be some level of nimbleness and agility to managing change as it relates to the organization.
Also,
So
are
it's
you?
learning agility, it's
Mhm.
simplifying the complex or simplicity, and just agility and nimbleness overall.
Got it. Got it. So it looks like you have sort of a combination of processes within your organization to bring in early talent, some which are perhaps internal, where you hire from colleges, universities, and such. And then you also talked about partnerships with external organizations, grassroots organizations. Have you seen, or are you able to talk about pros and cons of both? What kind of, I guess, challenges and opportunities do you see just overall then in the early talent space?
Um, and I don't know if this will meet the need of what you are asking or not, but I would say this: in a very dynamic economic environment that many organizations face. Oftentimes, looking at early in career talent and those types of programs can be at risk for ongoing investment. And so I think the challenge is ensuring that you've got a early in career talent strategy that is flexible to, now we're not going to know everything that's going to happen in the economy. You can't foretell everything, but it has to be something that's flexible enough that can stand the test of time when you grow and when businesses contract. And I think the risk and what we may be seeing as a challenge in some organizations is being able to create that fortitude of the programs to withstand the crescendo and the decrescendo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're always looking for ways to de-risk the a little bit of the future because it's so unpredictable, especially now. So I that's really exciting to me. Because I've been on that hiring table side, and you can only project what you can project, and it's really hard to tell how and where things would head in the next 6 months or year or 2 years, just with everything else, especially the macroeconomic events happening around the world, right? So it's really, really tricky, and it's nobody's fault. As HR professionals, we want nothing more than a really great prediction of what business is going to look like and what talent needs are going to look like. But that's become, I feel like, harder over the years to do,
Mhm.
simply because of there's so many factors that are out of control, that are, for the business. How does Docusign promote inclusivity within the organization? Is there anything that you'd like to share with us around that?
Yeah, I mean, here's what I'll say to that. Our organization has sustained our focus on driving equitable experiences for all, and that is underpinned by our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it comes to life in our value around unity, which is one of the values, company values here at DocuSign. Equally, as is one thing to have those words being shared relative to the organization. It's another thing for it to be manifested in the experience of our employees. And so what we have done on an annual basis, every single member of our CEO's leadership team creates a diversity action plan for their respective organizations. That action plan is shared with the leadership team and reported out to the broader organization. Equally, we are on a journey of transparency. And so in so doing, it's driving our accountability to what we've committed to by way of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and talent and experience. And so what we launched last year, for the first time, we shared internally only a diversity, equity, and inclusion and experience report. We just we shared the first half of the year, and then we shared the full year. And now we're in the process of developing our report for this year, for the first half of this fiscal year. And so what I hope you're hearing me say is we not only promote diversity, equity, and inclusion, and are committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion, such that it also is showing up as a part of our business strategy and how we report out to our company on a quarterly basis with regard to our business strategy. And we've got goals and aspirational goals connected to diversity. It also is manifesting itself in how we drive accountability.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. As far as professional development is concerned, do you run internal professional development programs for early in career talent, or is this something that is left to their mentors or perhaps their line managers to manifest?
So that I don't have responsibility for development programs relative to early in career. What I do have responsibility for is what I would say the acquisition of the early in career talent and the programs from a perspective of those partnerships that we can leverage to identify and bring on that early in career talent into the organization, whether that be university related or association related or specific diverse talent segment partnership related. So while I don't have responsibility for development, in that case of developing the talent once they're onboarded, I do have responsibility for bringing that talent in to the organization, and it comes through various methods, whether it is university related partnerships, association related partnerships. Our learning and development program will work with our various business units to create those knowledge opportunities or knowledge sharing opportunities or development opportunities that might be needed or requested from various businesses in order to support the early and career talent.
Thank you. What is your take on the recruit, train, deploy program, right? You've heard about that program in the past. What do you think are some of the benefits of a recruit, train, deploy program?
Well, I mean, look, I'll just say it this way, is having a program and a partner that uniquely understands the skills, the talent, and the goals of what an organization is going after and is very much connected to what the organization needs and can serve as a conduit to not only recruit, but also support the organization in retaining that talent and then also developing that talent is a winning strategy. I think the critical piece that any organization will have to determine is there one organization that can meet all of those unique needs and do so in a scalable and evolved and agile manner. I add agile because, as I've shared earlier in our discussion, the nature of business is always evolving and transforming, and there are headwinds and tailwinds that will require organizations to evolve. And so having a partner with this recruit, retain, deploy type of perspective that is able to, again, be agile with those changes that happen inevitably in business is, in my mind, a gold standard and a best practice.
Iesha, it was wonderful speaking with you today. I love your insights. Thank you for sharing some of the great work you've done with Docusign and a little bit of your history. I look forward to meeting you again, hopefully in Dallas or New York soon. But Thanks for your time, and I'll talk to you soon.
Great. Thanks so much for your time and thanks for all you do. Take care.
Take care. Bye.